Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
The phone buzzed against the kitchen counter like an angry wasp. 3 times. 4. 5. I stared at Zara's iPhone, abandoned next to her half-finished coffee, and the divorce papers I'd been pretending not to think about for weeks. She was upstairs, shower running, getting ready for another late meeting with her boss, the same boss who'd been texting her at midnight for the past 2 months. My name is Hayes Rellin, and I fix computer security for a living. I find holes in systems that people think are bulletproof. I trace digital footprints that others believe they've erased. It's methodical work that requires patience, attention to detail, and the ability to see patterns that most people miss. The phone buzzed again. MT flashed on the screen. Marlo Trasker, her boss. The smirking, silver-haired CEO who'd made it clear at every company gathering that he thought Zara deserved better than a tech support guy like me. His exact words at last year's Christmas party, delivered with that practiced smile that never reached his eyes. I picked up the phone. The messages were unlocked. Zara had always been careless with passwords, using our daughter's birthdays for everything. Emma, 2015, opened her entire digital life. Can't wait to see you tonight. Wear the red dress. Hayes is working late again? Perfect timing. My wife suspects nothing. She's too busy with her art projects. I scrolled up. Weeks of messages, months, planning meetings that weren't meetings, hotel reservations. And then, buried in the thread from 3 days ago, something that made my hands shake. Hayes is becoming a problem. We need to accelerate our timeline. Agreed. The sooner we're both free, the better. I've already spoken to my lawyer about custody arrangements. Your lawyer? What about Hayes? What about him? He'll get visitation rights. Maybe. I screenshot everything, uploaded it to an encrypted drive, backed it up in 3 separate locations. Old habits from my military days, when information meant survival. The shower stopped upstairs. I placed the phone exactly where I'd found it, returned to my laptop, and waited. Zara appeared 20 minutes later, stunning in a black cocktail dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. She kissed my cheek, her perfume expensive and unfamiliar. Don't wait up, she said. Big presentation tomorrow. Marlo wants the team to rehearse until we get it perfect. I'm sure he does. She paused at the door, studying my face. Everything okay? You sound strange. Just tired. Long day of keeping other people's secrets safe. She left without another word. I opened my laptop and began to plan. The blue lamp squatted between a laundromat and a tax preparation office like a confession booth for the morally flexible. I'd been coming here for 15 years, ever since Finn McKay bought the place with his police pension. He served decent whiskey, minded his own business, and had a talent for acquiring information that people thought they'd kept private. You look like someone stole your lunch money, Finn said, sliding a bourbon across the scarred wooden bar. He was built like a fire hydrant, all shoulders and stubborn muscle, with gray eyes that missed nothing. Worse, someone stole my wife. Zara? I thought you two were solid. So did I. Turns out she's been conducting private meetings with her boss. Very private. Finn poured himself a matching drink. Marlo Trasker? You know him? Know of him. Guy's got a reputation. Collects wives like some people collect stamps. Always trading up for a newer model. I pulled out my phone, showed him the screenshots. Finn read in silence, his expression growing darker with each message. This is ugly, Hayes. Real ugly. What are you planning to do? That depends. What can you tell me about Trasker? Finn disappeared into his office, returned with a manila folder thick enough to choke a horse. Started collecting this when he bought the building next door, Finn said. Thought about opening a second location until I learned who my potential landlord was. The folder contained newspaper clippings, court documents, and what looked like private investigator reports. Marlo Trasker had been married 4 times. Each divorce had been messy, expensive, and involved accusations of infidelity. The pattern was always the same. He'd target married women in vulnerable positions, promise them better lives, then discard them once the novelty wore off. His current wife is Alara, Finn said, pointing to a society page photo. Artist. Comes from money, which is probably why he's lasted longer with her than the others. Word is, she's got her own interests, if you catch my meaning. What kind of interests? The kind that might make her sympathetic to a fellow victim of her husband's wandering eye? I studied the photo. Ilara Trasker was beautiful in a sharp, intelligent way that suggested she didn't suffer fools gladly. Her smile looked genuine, unlike her husband's practiced smirk. You think she knows? I think she's not stupid. Question is whether she cares enough to do something about it. I closed the folder. I need to meet her. That can be arranged. She shows her work at the Meridian Gallery downtown. Opening this Friday night, very social, very public. Perfect. Hayes. Finn's voice carried a warning. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Trasker's got money, connections, and a mean streak. He's not going to roll over just because you caught him cheating. Neither am I. I left the blue lamp with Alara Trasker's gallery address and a plan that was probably stupid but felt absolutely necessary. Zara and Marlowe thought they were playing chess while I played checkers. Time to show them how wrong they were. The Meridian Gallery occupied the ground floor of a converted warehouse. All exposed brick and industrial lighting designed to make rich people feel edgy. I arrived early, wearing my best suit and the confidence that came from having done my homework. Alara Trasker's paintings covered 3 walls. Abstract pieces that somehow managed to capture specific emotions. Rage, betrayal, hope, despair. They were beautiful and disturbing, like looking into someone's unguarded thoughts. You're not the usual gallery crowd. I turned. Alara Trasker stood behind me, elegant in a simple black dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Up close, she was even more striking than her photos suggested. Sharp cheekbones, intelligent green eyes, and an aura of controlled intensity that reminded me of a blade wrapped in silk. Hayes Relin, I said, extending my hand. I work in computer security. Alara, and you're here because? Your husband is having an affair with my wife. She didn't flinch, didn't gasp, didn't even blink, just studied my face with the same intensity she probably brought to her art. I see. And you thought I should know? I thought you might already know. A smile ghosted across her lips. What gave me away? This painting. I gestured to the piece behind her, a swirl of red and black that seemed to writhe with barely contained fury. It's called Betrayal, and it was finished 3 weeks ago, right around the time my wife started staying late for meetings. Observant. Most people see pretty colors and call it abstract. Most people aren't married to liars. She moved closer, studying me with the same attention she'd given her paintings. What do you want, Hayes Relin? Justice or revenge? I'm not picky about the terminology. And you think I want the same thing? I think you're tired of being married to a man who treats women like disposable commodities. I think you've got your own plans, and I think we might be able to help each other. Alara was quiet for a long moment, her gaze moving between me and her paintings. When she spoke, her voice was soft but steady. There's a company party next Friday, Trasker Hall. Marlowe will be giving his usual speech about excellence and teamwork. Very public, very visible. I'll be there. Good. Wear something nice. It's going to be quite a show. She walked away without another word, leaving me alone with her paintings and the growing certainty that I'd just allied myself with someone far more dangerous than I'd initially realized. Trasker Hall was everything I'd expected. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and enough gold trim to fund a small country's military budget. The company party was in full swing, a carefully orchestrated display of corporate success designed to remind everyone how fortunate they were to work for Marlo Trasker. I arrived alone. Zara had left early, claiming she needed to help set up. Through the crowd, I could see her at Marlo's side, playing the role of devoted employee while he played the magnanimous leader. They moved together with the easy familiarity of people who'd been sharing more than business meetings. Hayes! Cass Morrison appeared at my elbow, already 3 drinks into the evening. She worked in HR, which made her the unofficial keeper of office gossip and professional indiscretions. I didn't expect to see you here. Wouldn't miss it. Zara's been so excited about this party. Oh, she's been excited about something, all right. Cass giggled, the sound sharp with malice. Did you know she and Marlo have been having private strategy sessions? Very private, very strategic. Really? Oh, yes, the whole office knows. Well, everyone except his wife. And you, I guess. But you seem like the understanding type. Extremely understanding. Cass leaned closer, bourbon heavy on her breath. Between you and me, I think something big is going to happen tonight. Marlo's been acting strange all week, nervous, like he's planning something important. How interesting. You should stick around for his speech. I have a feeling it's going to be memorable. She wandered off in search of more alcohol and gossip, leaving me to observe the party's carefully choreographed dynamics. Marlo held court near the main stage, accepting congratulations and praise with practiced humility. Zara orbited him like a satellite, beautiful and devoted and completely unaware that her phone had been uploading every text message to my secure server for the past week. Alara appeared beside me as if she'd materialized from the shadows. Enjoying yourself? She asked. Immensely. Your husband certainly knows how to throw a party. He knows how to throw a lot of things. Parties, money, wives. Speaking of which, I have something for you. I handed her a flash drive, small enough to hide in her palm. Everything I could find about his previous marriages. Financial records, legal documents, some very interesting correspondence with his lawyers about asset protection strategies. She pocketed the drive without looking at it. And I have something for you. Marlo's planning to announce his divorce tonight. Public humiliation is his specialty. He thinks it makes him look decisive. And Zara will be standing right beside him when he does it. The devoted employee comforting her boss through his difficult transition. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly. Something more focused, more purposeful. How long do we have? 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then we better get started. Marlo took the stage exactly on schedule, his silver hair perfect under the spotlights, his smile wide and confident. The crowd quieted, drinks lowered, conversations paused. Friends, colleagues, partners in excellence, he began, his voice carrying easily through the sound system. Tonight, I want to talk about new beginnings, about having the courage to make difficult decisions when circumstances change. Zara moved closer to the stage, her face a mask of supportive concern. Sometimes, Marlo continued, we find ourselves in situations that no longer serve our highest purposes, relationships that have run their course, commitments that hold us back from our true potential. I felt Alara tense beside me, which is why I'm announcing tonight that my wife and I have decided to end our marriage. It's been a difficult decision, but we both agree that we've grown in different directions. The crowd murmured, a mixture of surprise and anticipation. This was gossip gold, the kind of public drama that would fuel office conversations for months. But, Marlo raised his hand for silence, every ending creates space for a new beginning, and I'm happy to share that beginning with someone who has become very special to me. Someone who represents everything I value in a partner: intelligence, ambition, and unwavering loyalty. He gestured toward Zara, who stepped forward with a smile that could have powered the building's lighting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the future Mrs. Marlo Trasker. The applause was polite but uncertain. Office romances were common enough, but this felt different, messier, more complicated. Marlo pulled Zara onto the stage, kissed her cheek, and turned back to the microphone. I know some of you might have questions about the timeline, the circumstances, the impact on our professional relationships. All I can say is that love doesn't follow corporate policy manuals. Sometimes it just happens. And when it does, you have to be brave enough to follow your heart. He paused, scanning the crowd with that practiced smile. Of course, this does mean some changes will be necessary. Zara's current marriage, for instance, was already ending. Her husband is a good man, I'm sure. But sometimes good isn't enough. Sometimes a woman needs someone who can match her ambition, support her dreams, help her reach her full potential. The crowd was completely silent now, sensing that they were witnessing something unprecedented. I've met Hayes Rellin several times at company functions. Nice enough fellow. Works in computer support, I believe. Technical work. Very practical. But Zara deserves more than practical. She deserves extraordinary. That was my cue. I stepped forward, moving through the crowd with the deliberate calm I'd learned in the military. People shifted aside.
90 days of calls to the same number. You bought a burner for her.
Give it to me.
One reason not to drop it.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Creating a path toward the stage. Marlowe noticed the movement, his smile faltering slightly as he recognized me. Ah, Hayes. Perfect timing. I was just explaining to everyone how much Zara deserves someone who can truly appreciate her qualities. I reached the base of the stage, looked up at him with what I hoped was a pleasant expression. Funny you should mention appreciation, Marlowe. I was having a similar conversation with your wife yesterday about how much she deserves someone who can truly appreciate her qualities. The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear the air conditioning cycling on. We had quite a long talk about it, actually, over dinner, at that little Italian place on 5th Street, you know the one, where you took Zara last Tuesday. Marlowe's smile had frozen into something that looked more like a grimace. Very romantic spot, I continued, my voice carrying clearly in the absolute quiet. Alara mentioned that you'd recommended it, said it was one of your favorites for intimate conversations. I turned to scan the crowd, found Alara near the back, and gestured toward her. Alara, would you like to join us? I think everyone would be interested in hearing about our dinner conversation. She moved through the crowd with the same deliberate grace I'd used, her black dress making her look like an elegant shadow against the party's golden lighting. When she reached the stage, she climbed the steps without invitation and took the microphone from her husband's unresisting hand. Hello, everyone, she said, her voice steady and clear. I'm Alara Trasker. Soon to be Alara Morrison again, actually. I'll be returning to my maiden name after the divorce. The crowd's murmur was louder this time, confused and hungry for details. My husband is right about one thing, Alara continued. Sometimes relationships run their course. Sometimes you discover that the person you married isn't who you thought they were. Sometimes you learn things that make it impossible to continue living a lie. She reached into her purse, pulled out a manila envelope thick with documents. For instance, you might learn that your husband has been systematically embezzling company funds to finance his extramarital affairs. You might discover that he's been using his position to sexually harass female employees. You might find out that he's been promising promotions and raises in exchange for personal favors. Marlowe lunged for the microphone, but Alara stepped smoothly aside. You might also learn, she continued, that he's been planning to frame his current affair partner for financial irregularities once he gets tired of her. Insurance, he calls it. A way to ensure clean breaks. Every eye in the room turned toward Zara, who had gone pale as paper. That's not true, Marlowe said, his voice cracking slightly. She's lying. She's bitter about the divorce. She's trying to... I have documentation, Alara said calmly. Financial records, email correspondence, recorded conversations. Everything authenticated and verified by independent forensic accountants. She handed the envelope to Vera Rovell, the company's HR director, who had appeared at the base of the stage as if summoned by the scent of professional scandal. I think you'll find it makes for fascinating reading, Alara told her. I stepped closer to the stage, looked up at Zara with what I hoped was a sympathetic expression. Did you know about the insurance policy, honey? About how he's been setting you up to take the blame when this all falls apart? Zara's mouth opened and closed without sound. Because I have to admit, I'm curious. When you were planning our divorce, when you were discussing custody arrangements with his lawyers, did he mention that part of the plan? The part where you end up unemployed and possibly facing criminal charges? Hayes, I can explain. Oh, I'm sure you can. You're very good at explanations, very creative. But I'm more interested in what Marlowe has to say. I turned back to him, noting how his confident smile had completely disappeared. See, here's what I don't understand, Marlowe. You told everyone that Zara deserves someone extraordinary, someone who can match her ambition and support her dreams. But according to these documents, your plan was to destroy her career and reputation the moment she became inconvenient. That's not, I never, she's twisting everything. So, you're saying your wife is lying? That these documents are fabricated? That the recorded conversations are fake? Marlowe looked around the room, searching for allies or escape routes. He found neither. I think, Vera Rovel said from the base of the stage, we need to continue this conversation in a more private setting. Marlowe, Zara, I'll need you both in my office first thing Monday morning. Don't make any travel plans. The party was over. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, matching my mood as I sat in the parking garage across from Trasker Industries. I'd taken a personal day, ostensibly to deal with family matters, actually to watch the final act of a drama that had consumed my life for weeks. Zara had spent the weekend alternating between tears, rage, and desperate attempts at explanation. She'd slept in the guest room, emerging only to make phone calls to lawyers I was pretty sure she couldn't afford. I'd listened to her side of every conversation through the baby monitor I'd relocated from Emma's room. The calls hadn't gone well. At 8:30 sharp, I watched Marlowe's silver Mercedes pull into his reserved parking space. He sat behind the wheel for several minutes, probably gathering courage or reviewing his legal strategy. When he finally emerged, he looked like a man walking to his own execution. Zara arrived 10 minutes later in her red Honda, the one with the loose brake line I'd noticed during my weekend maintenance check. Nothing dangerous, just inconvenient enough to require expensive repairs. She moved with the jerky, desperate energy of someone who knew they were in serious trouble, but hadn't quite accepted how serious. I waited until they'd both disappeared into the building, then made my way to the lobby. The Trasker Industries building was impressive in the way that expensive things often are. Lots of marble, brass, and glass designed to intimidate visitors and reassure investors. I'd been here dozens of times for company functions, but today it felt different. Smaller, less imposing. Finn was waiting by the elevator bank, dressed in his best suit and wearing the expression of a man who'd been looking forward to this moment for a very long time. How do you think it's going up there? I asked. About as well as you'd expect. Vara's been preparing for this meeting since Saturday. She's got forensic accountants, legal counsel, and a representative from the board of directors. This isn't going to be a conversation. It's going to be a reckoning. And Alara? Upstairs with her lawyers. Turns out she's been planning this for months. The gallery opening meeting you, even the timing of the party announcement. She orchestrated the whole thing. I felt a chill of recognition. She used me. Same way Marlowe used Zara. Same way Zara used you. Difference is, Ilara's better at it. The elevator arrived with a soft chime. We rode to the 15th floor in silence, emerging into a reception area that buzzed with nervous energy. Employees clustered in small groups, whispering and glancing toward the conference room where their boss's career was being systematically dismantled. Cass Morrison appeared beside us, her eyes bright with excitement. Hayes, I can't believe you're here. This is incredible. Vera's been in there for 2 hours with Marlowe and Zara. We can hear shouting through the walls. What kind of shouting? The desperate kind. Marlowe's trying to blame everything on Zara. Says she seduced him, manipulated him, forged documents. Zara's saying he threatened her job if she didn't cooperate. It's ugly. Through the conference room's glass walls, I could see figures moving around a large table. Vera Rovel sat at the head, flanked by lawyers and executives I didn't recognize. Marlowe paced near the windows, while Zara hunched in a chair, her perfect posture finally broken. How much trouble are they in? I asked. Financially, professionally, personally? Take your pick. The embezzlement charges alone are going to destroy them both. But the harassment allegations are what's really going to hurt. Turns out Zara wasn't Marlowe's first victim, just his most recent. The conference room door opened. Alara emerged first, followed by a man in an expensive suit, who was probably her lawyer. She moved with the same controlled grace I'd admired at the gallery, but now it looked predatory rather than elegant. She spotted me across the reception area and walked over, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown timer. "Hayes, I wasn't sure you'd come. Wouldn't miss it. How did it go?" "Better than expected. Marlowe's been terminated, obviously. The board voted unanimously. Zara's being prosecuted for her role in the financial irregularities. Her cooperation with the investigation might reduce her sentence, but she's definitely going to prison. And you? I'm getting a very generous divorce settlement. Turns out adultery and embezzlement violate the fidelity clauses in our prenuptial agreement. I'll be keeping the house, the art collection, and most of his liquid assets." "Congratulations." She studied my face, probably looking for signs of judgment or disapproval. "You think I'm cold. I think you're effective. Marlowe destroyed 4 marriages before mine. He ruined careers, reputations, lives. Someone had to stop him. And Zara was a willing participant in her own destruction. I didn't force her to have an affair with a married man. I didn't make her help him steal company money. I just made sure there were consequences." The conference room door opened again. Marlowe emerged, flanked by security guards, and looking like he'd aged 10 years in the past 2 hours. His silver hair was disheveled, his perfect smile replaced by the stunned expression of a man who'd finally encountered a problem he couldn't charm his way out of. He saw me watching and changed direction, approaching with the desperate energy of someone making a last stand. "Hayes, thank God. You have to help me. Your wife, she's lying about everything. I never threatened her, never forced her to do anything. She came to me. She seduced me. You have to tell them." "Tell them what, Marlowe?" "That she's manipulative, calculating, that she planned all of this to get back at you for not giving her the life she wanted." I looked at him for a long moment, this man who'd spent months telling everyone that my wife deserved better than me. He was smaller than I remembered, less impressive, more pathetic. "You're right," I said finally. "Zara is manipulative and calculating. She did plan to leave me for someone who could give her a better life, but here's the thing, Marlowe. She learned those skills from someone, and that someone was you. You taught her that marriage was just a business arrangement, that loyalty was negotiable, that people were disposable when they stopped being useful. Congratulations, you created the perfect student." Security was getting impatient. They guided Marlowe toward the elevator, his protests fading as the doors closed between us. Zara was the last to emerge from the conference room. She looked broken in a way I'd never seen before. Her confidence shattered, her future reduced to a series of legal proceedings and professional humiliations. She saw me and stopped, her eyes filling with tears that might have been genuine. "Hayes, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I need you to know that I never meant for it to go this far." "How far did you mean for it to go?" "I don't know. I wanted more. I wanted to matter, to be important. You were important. To me, to our daughters. But not to myself. And Marlowe made me feel like I could be someone different, someone better. Someone willing to steal from her employer and abandon her family." She flinched as if I'd hit her. "I know how it looks. I know what you think of me now. But I need you to understand that I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted to stop feeling invisible." "Well, you're definitely not invisible anymore." The cruelty in my voice surprised even me, but I felt no urge to take it back. Zara had made her choices. Now she would live with the consequences. She walked away without another word, her heels echoing in the marble lobby until the elevator doors closed and the sound disappeared. Alara was still beside me, watching the entire exchange with the detached interest of a scientist observing a particularly fascinating experiment. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Empty, satisfied, exhausted, all at the same time." "That's normal. Revenge is like surgery. Necessary sometimes, but it always leaves scars. What happens now? Now you go home to your daughters and rebuild your life. Now I go home to my empty house and figure out who I am when I'm not married to a sociopath. Now Marlo and Zara discover what it's like to be ordinary people with extraordinary problems. And us? She smiled, the first genuinely warm expression I'd seen from her. There is no us, Hayes. We were allies in a war that's now over. Sometimes that's enough. She walked away, her heels clicking against the marble, until she disappeared into the elevator. I stood alone in the lobby of Trasker Industries, surrounded by the whispered conversations of employees who were already turning today's events into tomorrow's gossip. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister, who was watching Emma and Sophie, while I dealt with what she diplomatically called the situation. Girls are asking when mommy's coming home. What should I tell them? I stared at the message for a long time, thinking about truth and consequences, about the difference between justice and revenge, about the cost of getting everything you thought you wanted. Finally, I typed back, "Tell them mommy made some bad choices, and now she has to face the results. Tell them daddy loves them, and everything is going to be okay." It wasn't the whole truth, but it was true enough. I walked out of the Trasker Industries building and into the gray morning, leaving behind the wreckage of 2 marriages, 2 careers, and whatever illusions I'd once held about the people closest to me. The war was over. I'd won. So why did victory taste so much like ash? Much